Welcome to Drop the Clutch podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to season 2 of Drop the Clutch. This is episode 1. Today I'm joined by my regular co-host Frankie and two previous co-hosts from Drop the Clutch that are now back for a guest appearance. Hey Dan, hey Dylan, how you both doing?
Good afternoon, doing all right, thank you. Yourselves?
Not bad.
Yeah, sound all good.
Oh, that's good. So today we're going to hop into some predictions for the season, and me being me, I've done no prep as usual whatsoever, so I'm going to hand it over to somebody who has.
All eyes on Frankie here.
They don't look at me. I'm like, oh. I take no interest in team building, so I'm thinking 5 minutes before we start, what are the teams now? Oh, yes, of course.
We're both terrible for prep.
I think the only thing I can start off with of it is shit luck for Birmingham from the start. Not turned a wheel and you've already lost Piotr Pawlicki.
Yeah. Same old luck, though.
Yeah, it's one of them things. Tom Brennan said it right the other day. He said there's a fine line. You're either fit or you're fucked. And Peter's fucked.
Mm.
But, yeah, he'll be back by the end of the month.
Well, that's what they're saying. We've heard all this before.
I mean, the fact he's coming over for press day on Monday, flying in from treatment to do that, and fly back out again, hopefully will show the supporters that he's committed and stuff.
I think that speaks volumes, but we've seen it all before.
Yeah. Can't be any worse than the 2023 number 1 that Birmingham had.
I don't think I'll not put a word in on that. But yeah, Frankie takes a bit of a skeptical approach.
Wow, it's not skeptical any more than it is cynical, but it's very much what happened last time. Oh yes, it will happen again. We've seen it often enough with riders. They get injured early season and they don't come back.
A little bit of positive news for Frankie though, with the license for promoting at Swindon being taken off certain people.
Oh God, what's this about? I did not see this.
Oh, you've opened a can of worms now.
It wouldn't be dropped the clutch without a can of worms being opened.
Yeah, let's
This
start there. I know that there was some shit around the stadium, but God knows what's going on there. I wasn't aware that the license had been pulled.
Yeah, the promoting license has been taken off that geek. I can't remember his name.
Clark Osborne.
Who was it off Palmer? Oh, I can't remember the guy's name.
Terry Russell, I think it was.
That says a lot because he's the owner of the club.
Yeah,
officially,
the license is gone from him.
I'm not sure what that would say. For all I know, that could just be because it's been frozen since 2020. But Swindon's. I'll be surprised if we see him back. But anyway,
a lot of clubs that we see disappear though, but there's always hope. Oxford are back after years in the wilderness.
Yeah, but Oxford had a cooperative council, whereas ours is just a bunch of idiots.
That's one way to put it.
No, sugarcoat it.
But yeah, I think they're always talking about new stadium within 45 minutes of Swindon, but depending on traffic, that's either from here to Bristol or from here to the other side of the town. I don't know what's going on there
as well, innit?
Yeah, but I'm not necessarily surprised they've done that. But at the same time, it says a lot about where the SCV think this is going. But anyway, that's Swindon. They're not in the season this year, so let's not talk about them. Let's talk about what matters.
Start with the Premiership.
Yeah, let's work our way down.
Top to bottom, then, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This season's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of unknowns in clubs this year, which make a prediction very difficult. Firstly, from new riders as well as previous riders coming back, it's much more open than it was, much more different to the Championship than in previous seasons. But at the same time, there's a lot that we can't say for sure.
Yeah, it's certainly probably the most open Premiership I've seen for the past 10 years, something like that. So it's be interesting, but Bellevue are coming bottom because FTA.
Well, there's a lot of top-heavy sides in the Premiership this year.
There is.
I'm noticing this as well. Like pretty much every team has gone for like 3 7-point riders and then 4 and 5-point riders filling up the gaps. I can't really see much of an exception. The only one I can really think of is Oxford.
Birmingham have got strength in depth.
Yeah, but you've got Pavlichki and Milik could both be 7.5. I think Lampard will come in on a 6. Yeah. But then you've got 5-pointers filling in the rest of the spots. That's probably the most even side. But then you look at other clubs. I think Bellevue have got 2 8-point riders at least in there. Sheffield, likewise. Ipswich, I think, have got 2 9-point riders in there. I can't remember what the average is.
Kevlars?
No, I haven't.
They're really nice. Emil was practicing in Poland with his Ipswich Kevlars and bike covers and put a photo on his Instagram. They look a little bit different this year. They're quite nice.
It is pretty cool.
So talking of Sheffield, they're my number one. As long as Woofington and Noddy can stay fit.
I think for me that depends on how Chris Holder rides.
Yeah,
we don't. He's another rider coming back. We don't know how well he'll perform, whether he performs at all. He's kind of fallen into that middle trap that riders like Danny King or Scott Nichols tend to occupy, where they're solid in a string position. Put them in a heat leader position, he might struggle.
The concern for Sheffield is that they've got essentially two rising stars at reserve, and look how that worked out for Wolves a couple of years back with Drew and Leon. And neither really stepped it up to solidify that number 6 role.
You say that though. I mean, I was talking to you about it the other day. I could see them potentially making a change at reserve as well. I don't know which one they'd get rid of, but I could see a potential change down there in the first 2 months.
Only in Speedway, the season's not even started, and we already think there's going to be changes. Teams have barely been built. The ink's not dry. Are they going to be sacked in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, you know how it is. You've been in the game long enough.
That's how it goes. We poo-poo the team before they've even turned a wheel. Yeah, I can't really. It's too hard to say with so many unknowns coming back in. It's too hard to say who would perform well. And you've got to think as for even existing riders like Ty Woofington, he's been on a run of injuries the last few years. Like if he gets injured again, I think Sheffield will really struggle. Unless I don't know, they get Robert Lambert in. But
again.
He just comes in on contracts at the end of the season to help teams win trophies.
Yeah, insert controversy here.
Controversial? No. I think the top 2 are pretty much stand out from everybody else. I think Ipswich will finish runners-up again.
Yeah.
They're the standouts from everyone. I think you've got Adam Ellis on a bargain average as long as he can settle down again.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's in the same side with Doyle again. Him and Doyle always made a strong pairing at Swindon. I don't know. They've gone on different paths since then. I don't know how well they'll ride, whether they'll even be in a heat together. But they were always a strong opening pair.
Yeah, I think the top 2 right themselves. I think the rest of the pack are relatively unknown.
Yeah, I don't know. Matt Sayanovsky's going to be very interesting. He was strong in the leagues last year, from what I could tell, but he was so far out of his depth in the Grand Prix. I don't even know what happened. I don't think anyone knows what happened. They just keep making comparisons to Christoph Kasperzak.
He just turned shit.
Well, yeah. That's all you can really say. I think that's possibly Oxford's weakest link. We don't know how Janowski is going to ride.
I know Clint's going to come back from some pretty bad injuries.
Yeah. But, even Clint or Kerr coming back from injury, either rider is still very strong at number 6.
unpopular opinion, but I don't think Oxford are as good as a lot of people do. I've got them missing out on the playoffs.
Yeah, I can see that. There's no one there that's an out and out number one.
If you're not
Really,
step up, and the Tungate can bring his Australia form, possibly, but then you
yeah,
need Palmer and Clint to step up, especially with an inexperienced Belgian at Rising Star.
yeah.
Mhm.
And that's the thing with Belgium. We don't know how he's going to perform either. He made a big splash. What was it, 2 years ago in the championship?
Just last year.
Yeah, but you know, this is a big step up, and this isn't an easy Premiership. This isn't basically just a more advanced championship like we've been seeing the last few years. This is what the Elite League was, much closer.
If Ashton can sort his attitude out, he'll be fine. But if he's been going around with the attitude that he's been having the past couple of years in the National League and Championship, he's knackered.
Yeah, he's gonna get a big reality check really fast. I have to agree there.
I think looking at this, I think if there's one side that looks very weak to me, it is Bellevue. Strength in depth, but they've basically got 3 reserves.
Yeah, me and Dan were having a conversation about this the other day. We think that Bellevue are going to be the first team to make a change at reserve.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but can they fit it in the points limit? It feels to me like they've.
The drop.
It feels to me like they've gone the top 3. They've used up as many points as they can, and then just filled the rest with 4-point riders. Like, I think if they are going to make a change, they may end up having to drop one of their top 3 as well, which could get very messy.
I think Bewley needs to bring his Grand Prix form again. I think if Bewley performs like he did last year, then I think he's probably burning a few bridges. I know the Bellevue fans got a bit annoyed with Bewley last year. He never really stood out as that number one, and I know Brady went there for a bit, but Bewley still never quite performed as you'd expect him to, and as he was in the Grand Prix most weeks.
Part of me wonders if Bewley's just gotten too used to the Polish circuits. Like, he's so used. You see it at Bellevue. He goes straight to the fence most races. He's forgotten the ability to ride a technical track.
And I think we saw that at Wolves last year, because he was a shower of shit for his first couple of races every time he came down, and then he got going as it went on. But with your number one and your massive name, you'd expect him to go out and dominate that Heat 1.
Yeah. At Wolverhampton, you cannot go to the fence.
No.
Like, you do that, you're going backwards or into the fence. But yeah, I think Bellevue are weak, very weak. They've got a strong top 3, but the rest is not.
I think Ben Cook will be an exciting prospect for him. I think that's his kind of track, and he's probably about 15 stone wet through. So I think he'll be a little pocket rocket around there, but there is some questions about has Bladorn really come on since his first season? I wouldn't say he has. Connor Mountain's an unknown. If he gets it all right, he can be fine, but if he doesn't...
Yeah.
And
you get no hints either from their home performance, because Bellevue is probably the easiest track in the country to ride.
Easiest track to ride, hardest track to ride well or dominate on.
Yeah.
It's too even. The 4th spot, I think, is the interesting one. Personally, I'll put Birmingham there. I think the strength in depth will come out. I think riders like Zach will take another step. Tom will take another step. I think Peter ends up as a 9+ rider at the end of the season.
Milik and Lampart as well. They're both fairly strong riders. I don't know how Lampart's going to ride in the British circuit. If it's because he's new to the Premiership, this could be very interesting for him. I could see him. Would he be also coming on a 6-point average? That might actually be slightly too high for him, to be honest. But he's shown a lot of promise in Poland. So we can see
it was the next big thing before Matej Szynek came on the scene, weren't it? And then got overshadowed a little bit.
Yeah. So I think so long as Pawlicki does return, and Lampart and Milik do power on, Birmingham could actually be quite a strong lineup.
Arguably got the best reserve pairing in the league.
Well, Leon Flint and Zach Cook.
Yeah.
Definitely got the best rising star in the league.
Yeah.
proven best rising star.
Mm.
And they did really well in E2s for Wolves last year as well. Zach and Leon had more often than not got a heat advantage if they do that at Perry Bar and away from home. You know, ultimately they've set up a team that can win at home, and that's something that I don't think they did enough of last season, win at home.
I think we won like 3 matches at home all of last season.
That many? I think
Okay, maybe I'm not the cynical one.
I think they've built a team that will gel really well at home.
Yeah.
I think when the captain is announced, I think it'll be the obvious choice, and everyone will understand what he's going to bring to the fold. I think it's a risk going for 3 riders, 2 that ain't raced here for 10 years and 1 that's never been here, and that's your heat leader trio there.
Yeah.
I think
that's very bold, but it could pay off for them quite spectacularly.
And it also depends who they manage to get in to cover for Peter till, the first week or so in April as well.
I mean, we could speculate on that as well. To be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they just use a facility rather than...
There won't be a facility granted, I don't think, because he's not raced in the team. Rider replacement or a guest wouldn't be granted.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So it's a National League rider only.
Yeah, I mean, that would be interesting because it amounts to an injury replacement. Who do you get in? Like, who is available?
I mean, the good thing is that they can build up to the initial 40-point limit again. It doesn't have to be a like for like with Peter's 7.5 average. They can go up to what they're under the limit. The problem is getting riders in. If this had happened towards the end of the season when Poland and Sweden had calmed down, you'd have a lot more riders wanting to do it.
Yeah. You'll probably end up with a 6-point rider filling the gap. But, if it's only until the start of next month, then the damage will be limited.
Yeah, I think they've been sensible in getting on the phone straight away as well to talk to as many contacts as they can. It's just what happens, most of them are focusing on Poland and the Grand Prix starting up as well.
2 meetings. That's
it. Oxford away and Sheffield at home probably, and potentially 1 more. The key for Birmingham is that the facility, if they do sign a temporary rider, it's up to 28-day contract. It doesn't have to be a 28-day contract. So if they sign a rider, get them in, and they don't have to keep said rider for the 28 days, it's, once he's done the meetings he needs to do and Peter's fit, they can bring him back in before the 28 days is up.
It will be very interesting to see who they can find. But as we say, options are limited.
I think my bottom side's quite controversial. None of us have spoke about him yet, but I think Leicester finished bottom.
I was gonna go with convention and say Kings Lynn, but that wasn't based on anything meaningful for this season.
Kings Lynn's Peterborough.
Yeah,
Kings Lynn's by underdogs to the playoffs this year.
Yeah,
I think they've built a solid team. To be fair, they're no out and out riders, but they're solid. A bit like Birmingham, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, I can kind of see that. I don't know about Voidjawar because he's new as well. It'll be
fine as a Polish nutter.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
And he'll settle in a bit with Toby there as well, won't he?
Yeah.
When, of course, Everson with his endless habits of charging the tapes in big meetings.
Of course.
But then, riders like Basso, Palm Toft, Tarasenko, you have to see how they perform as well. They're all middling heat leaders, so they'll probably be all right. Kings Lynn just don't get a good run of form. Season after season, there's always something wrong with them.
I think this is the best Kings Lynn team we've saw for a few years. I think whether the potential materialises into reality or not is another question. Toby's coming back from his injury, and there's a couple of unknowns in there as well. I think Anders Rowe will be fine at Rising Star. It's just how the rest of them.
Yeah, it's just how the rest of the team gels together.
I think that's the easier league to predict rather than the Championship as well. This is where Palmer won't shut up telling us that Scuddy are the reigning knockout cup champions.
If you didn't know, we won a knockout cup, by the way.
I had no idea.
But no, it's going to be an interesting championship, even though it's a bit shit. But if anybody's got anyone other than Plymouth bottom, then you're lying to yourself.
Well, bear with me while I get the team up. They still haven't finished. Fucking Workington still haven't finished their team lineup.
Neither of Plymouth now. Cavati's wrecked himself.
Basically dead at this point.
The rolling averages are out now, though,
Oh shit! Really?
for both leagues. Yeah,
Fucking hell.
it's only taken like a week before the season starts.
But at least they got them out. Look at the positives. Just been doom and gloom British Speedway merchants like the
Nope.
BSF people.
Normally, I'm still waiting for the rule book around this time.
What's one of them?
British Speedway has rules.
Apparently.
Yeah, I worked with the chairman. He didn't even realise there were rules.
I think one interesting thing coming out for this season is that they're following in Poland's footsteps and bringing in the automated starts rather than referees doing the tapes.
I've got money on a load of riders going through the tapes in
It's
early
a good job
meetings.
James Sargent's not still riding.
Yeah, I believe a lot of riders will go through the tapes early meetings. I think it's a good thing they're doing it. I'm surprised the stadiums can accommodate it, but it's probably a long time coming because starts, in my opinion, they're too quick now.
Mm.
But some people prefer the grass track method in that it's just green light go, or the old way where you sat there for half an hour while another rider bounces off the tapes. Like, what do you prefer? Answer neither. Let's just randomize it for shits and giggles.
I do think that puts a bit more pressure inadvertently on referees, though, because they need to pay more. If you look away for a split second, you could miss the tape staying up, and you don't know if somebody's jumped them.
Yeah, but it takes away the need for referees to consciously put the tapes up so they can put all their focus on riders moving. Not that they put any focus on riders moving in the first place, but whatever.
Don't you get another death threat coming in and hate comment after last week? Yeah, I'm going to go 2 episodes, 2 hate comments. My life. I think as well, I don't know what to make of this 2 minutes reverting back. Someone jumps the tapes. It was 1 minute last season, weren't it? And it's been changed again to 2 for this year.
I think it's because it became too confusing for riders and spectators.
It was open to referees' interpretation because they wouldn't always put the 1 minute back on. They'd allow time first, so essentially they'd still get 2.
I'm always of the opinion that if no one's touched the tapes, there's no reason why the 2 minutes can't just go straight back on. Like, referee doesn't need replays to know why they've stopped the race. Just put them straight back under 2 minutes and warn the riders as you need them to. Just get on with it. But anyway, championship.
Can we go from bottom to top on this one? So I think this is the more interesting or be more difficult one to pick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Plymouth bottom.
Plymouth bottom.
So last, all they're winning this season is a new spoon to carry on digging around that track with.
Yeah, looking at the team, I'd have to agree. I mean, the only number one I can see there is Ben Barker, and he's weak as piss.
It'll be interesting to see if they tried to get Richie Worrell back in when his ban ends in June or July, whenever it is.
I thought he's banned for another year, isn't he?
Ends halfway through this season, even after his social media rant.
Oh, yeah, that was a farce and a half, wasn't it?
Everyone loves a bit of drama. I think this might be my next. My finishing 8th might be because they're not complete yet, but Workington. There's pressure on Selena Lieberman to come in and perform straight away, and British Speedway is not like anything she'll have experienced before for the shape of the tracks. Imagine sticking a GP2 rider around Plymouth. You're going to know what's it.
Especially one that's never seen a British track before, really.
Yeah.
She's done laps at Workington and Bellevue last year, I'm sure she did.
Yeah, neither are like
we're on Plymouth.
But
May as well go around the turnstiles at Bellevue. They're probably about as big as Plymouth track.
Yeah.
Sat there, lap 2 of the race. Fuck me, I've only just turned around 3 and 4. We're turning on 1 and 2.
So yeah, controversial eighth place here. Oxford. Oxford. Solid top two in Scotty and fucking what's his face?
Sam Masters.
Him. Jordan will have a good year, but the rest of the team, it just doesn't scream playoffs to me, and yeah, I don't think they're going to be in for a good year.
We all thought that last year, though.
I also thought Kings Lynn were going to have a good year last year. Then KK turned up.
You doomed yourself from the start.
Your predictions don't mean jack shit, then, Palmer.
Well, there is that.
I can see that, but you know, you've got the likes of Cameron Heaps in there as well. But you have basically got three reserves or three unknown riders in there. Ashton Bowden, this championship will be, compared to last year, be much closer to where he is than the Premiership is now. But again, I think he set a high bar for himself last year.
Massively. But if Cameron Heaps can do what I need to do and stay away from kebab shops, that will be the key.
I think Dan Palmer's going to be the first one to be sacked from Scorpions TV this year. That's my prediction.
You reckon?
Yeah, I do.
Who's coming out on that soon? Shit, did I just say that out loud?
Yes.
7 of the Glasgow fans and the Edinburgh fans are going to hate me now. Edinburgh 7th and Glasgow 6th. I'm not impressed by that Glasgow team, considering they're the reigning champions.
I've got Edinburgh and Glasgow same positions, 6th and 7th. They just look shit.
Me and Ruth saw what Paul Stark was like last season.
Oh God, yeah.
But he won a race at Scunny last year, I'm sure. So he's going to win one more race, and that'll win Glasgow the title because they'll pay him £82 billion again.
Literally, I reckon he'll ride like 2 meetings, and then Glasgow will be looking for a replacement.
Bartosz Smardlik.
I'm really looking down these sides here. The one team that is surprising me at the moment is Poole. I cannot rate them at all.
Yeah, it's the swap between Glasgow and Poole of Tom Brennan going to Poole, Steve Wall to Glasgow. I think that benefits Poole.
Yeah, it does. But
I also think that, you know, you need both the Cook brothers to step. Ben stepped up last season, but Zach needs to have a big season in that league as well this year and really solidify himself as that third heat leader or fourth heat leader behind Tom Lawson.
Yeah. I'm just struggling to rate between, you know, so Lawson, Brennan, they're both fine. I just can't really rate the rest of the team.
Sam Hagen's a tryer. We saw that last year as well, and I remember his first meeting, and everybody said nobody will ever race harder and score 0. So if he can get it all together, and he had a really good time in Australia as well with the meetings he did, beating the riders he did. If he's not got confidence for this season, he never will have.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they win the league with that team. I can see changes coming fairly early, but I couldn't really say on who.
Maybe Chris Holder will get his Premiership average down, and then the conversion will all work out. Or Matt Say will do that.
Yeah.
I watched Tobias Thompson ride the last time he was over here. I don't know if he's a better rider now, but I'm still going to go with no.
The internet says he is.
Yeah.
And if it's on the internet, it must be true.
I think
Paul just outside the playoffs for me.
I think Paul win the title for the worst merchandise so far.
Oh my God, it is absolutely fucking horrible.
I've not seen it.
If it nor have I, I'm gonna look now.
It's on their Facebook page. It's like half blue and half white. I hope the Kevlars don't follow that routine.
What?
It's a proper 90s throwback.
Oh God.
Oh shit! Yeah, fair enough.
Imagine if the Kevlars follow that route. That's going to be a lot of cleaning for whoever cleans their Kevlars.
Yeah.
Oh God, yak.
And we've all seen some terrible merchandise in our times. That's up there.
Mm.
Hateable last season.
Nice cough you've got there.
That was
Wyndham's
fucking
2019
disgusting.
Kevlars, red and orange. What a combination that was.
Yeah.
Mm.
I know why they did it. They're fucking idiots for doing it. They should have brought back the blue Kevlars.
Derek, I've got fifth. I think it's a good top two. Drew Kemp's got potential to step up as that third heat leader. Jai Etheridge should know his way around Berwick like the back of his hand now. I think they've got the reserve department right. I just think the top two, if an injury happens to one of those two, and two very injury-prone riders at that.
Mm.
He's a slightly underrated team. I said that like the other day when we was chatting, and I went to see the Scunny practice on Monday night, and Jacob Hook pissed all over Drew Kemp. So probably slightly concerned for Berwick now. I did have him in the playoffs, but I'm not sure yet.
But then you've got Stuart Dixon going to manage him, and if he's back on top form, then he could get the best out of that team.
Yeah.
I think it was the right time for certain riders to move away. I think it was the right time for Leon to move away from there. Every now and again you need a refresh. It's so we'll see how they get on.
If only Josh Orty knew that 5 years ago.
Top four. This is the interesting part. Who we've got in the top four? Who do we see making that top four?
I have no idea. Honestly, there's two sides to my mind that we haven't mentioned yet: Redcar and Scunthorpe.
I've got Redcar in fourth. I think the injury to Tommy the Gun came, the news about him came at the wrong time. Jonas Knudsen is a good rider. He's got youth on his side. He could potentially step up and fill that void. But, Thomas Jorgensen's got some experience in that league that Jonas won't bring to that team.
At least we know there's one rider that won't go through the tapes every race. But no, I've got Redcar in second. I think it's a solid team, 1 to 7. You won't have a better 1 and 5 than Danny King and Charles Wright in this league, and they're a team full of track specialists at Redcar, but they'll also be as good away from home. So second.
We mentioned Scunny. Dan's going to love me because I've got Scunny as league champions for this season.
I don't know. I'd like to think so. It's nice when you've got. It's nice when you've got tricks up your sleeve.
I think the adaptation of getting used to not having Ryan Douglas going out and winning Heat 1 every week, and you've not got a proper out and out number one. But I think I'm right in saying the entire Scunny team are all on engines tuned by Carl Herf's dad now. So having your engine tuner there every week for meetings will be a massive help. I think Luke Harrison and Nathan Ablett have the potential to be a very good reserve herring, and I think the points thing of where it adds 0.5 or whatever it is per month will allow a couple of averages to drop, and around halfway through, Ryan Douglas could be brought back in as well.
It's certainly an option. Yeah, we have got options if averages do drop. Key riders for us this year is Jake Allen and Pantoft. If they can stay injury free and they're on it, we'll be absolutely fine. Nathan Ablett's going to be the best reserve in the league come the end of the year because Rob Godfrey told me. And Simon Lambert's going to finish the year at number 1 because he told me that as well. So
that's one way to doom his side.
So yeah.
I do think Scunny have got a good. I think Scunny really got it together last year, and I think they've got the best captain in British Speedway as well. I think what Simon Lambert brings as a captain now is not just focusing on his own racing; he's focusing on everybody else and trying to out where he can. And I think David Howe will play a massive part as team manager in that as well.
And like from speaking to Godfrey the other day, like when we found out it was going to be a 38-point limit or whatever it was. It was very important for us to keep the majority of last year's team as well. So, and obviously bringing Kyle in, Rob Godfrey doesn't pay guarantees, so he's going to be racing for every point he can get rather than go to the big leagues at Plymouth and absolutely fucking hate it. So, yeah, we'll be all right because
Poor
Godfrey told
Plymouth.
me.
They're taking a battering in this episode. Poor Plymouth.
But it's not our fault they're shit, is it? If there's any Plymouth fans watching, change alliances now.
I think one omission to the league, quite surprisingly as well, Dan Gilks, I think, I think, is he the rising star at Sheffield Palmer?
Yes.
But then I'd have assumed he'd have rather have done both leagues. I'd guess, bank on him putting all his eggs in Poland and coming on, because he did help Drew Kemp going to Poland and not starting last season with the British team.
Remember what I said about Chicks Up the Slave and that, yeah?
Should we just warm Palmer up and let him spill all the secrets? Just tell us what's going to happen. I think he'll miss championship, and I think by May he'll want to come back and ride in the championship. I think Connor Mountain going to Bellevue could either be a really good move for him for Scunny or a really bad move for him for Scunner, because it could just shatter his confidence as well.
Yeah. He's a weird one, is Connor. He's a great guy, but not having Premiership last year proper fucked him up a bit. Hopefully he does wonders for Bellevue and he can shut everybody up that says he's going to be dropped, but see what happens.
I've noticed as well now, Premiership teams are following Championship teams with streaming. Leicester have done it, Birmingham are doing it again. I think that's the way forward. I think once the Eurosport contract ends, I won't be surprised to see all of British Speedway just on BSN and individual club streaming services. Similar to what hockey does, I suppose. Ruth will know about that more, but it's a predominant streaming-based sport and it works.
Yeah, it's only been this season when they've really switched to just streaming, because they had a TV deal last year with, is it Viaplay?
Oh God!
They pulled that. Viaplay pulled out of that. So yeah, it's just predominantly club streaming. I wouldn't mind, but it's £15 for one stream, so I'm just gonna leave that because
I'm not.
Carry on.
I'm not that convinced about streaming necessarily being the way forward for British Speedway at the moment. When you consider the average fan base is as old as it is, adding these technical barriers to it. I think like BSN, while it works on a smart TV, you'd kind of wish it didn't. You end up adding more and more barriers to people watching it, and then suddenly people. Like if you think the average person on the British Speedway forum, they're not going to want to go into why it's not working or anything. They just switch off. I think that it's still very important that British Speedway at least remains on terrestrial TV, and I say the same about the Grand Prix. When Discovery chuck them behind Discovery Plus, it's not ideal. But there's a ways to go. I think the Eurosport deal ends next year.
Yeah, I think it was.
So
5, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see whether they stick with Eurosport because of the Grand Prix, whether they do take it all in-house streaming, whether or whether I don't know TNT bid for it, as when they're previously owned by BT, they seem fairly invested in it.
Yeah, I think the counter for that would probably be if, the technology side, this is where supporters clubs could maybe step in and host streaming events at a local, pub or something where they can get people in, have a drink, have a laugh, all be together. So I think in this day and age, you need the supporters to all be combined, especially, clubs that are fighting for survival again. If you can get all your, say for Scunny, for example, if they could get everyone down to their track and watch, I don't know, Red Cars stream in the bar at Scunthorpe, that's a bit of money in for the club. It's all the fans together, and it's not everybody. You know, I know the team that are being streamed, say Red Car, would take a cut of the money coming in like on that night, but I think that's where supporters clubs can step up, and I think this is the year where supporters clubs and the fan voice thing as well really comes into its own.
Yeah, I think as for individual clubs doing their own streaming services, it's great, but as a replacement for terrestrial coverage, it's not there. Like, when you consider, take someone like my dad, he's in his early 50s. He did try BSN, but when they had technical problems, he basically switched off from it. You know, people don't have as much patience with technology as other people would like to think, and that if we do go all streaming, that could be detrimental in the long run.
I think, in fairness to BSN, though, from certainly from the meetings I watched, there were a hell of a lot less technical issues last year than their pilot season, and you can see the improvement on the product as well. You know, you don't have an ad break coming in. You know, you'll have a plug for the sponsors or something, but they'll fill time with an interview rather than 4 races done on Eurosport. You get a 4-minute advert.
Yeah, and then the interval between heats is half an hour long because they need to put the interviews there instead.
Interval? What's one of them?
Scunny don't have one
We
of those.
don't have them at our place.
I think that's going to be the big shock to Birmingham and Oxford fans when you're on the terrace, when Eurosport are there and they take an interval for like 25, 30 minutes whilst they do their stuff for the TV, and it's like you get a little bit bored waiting around.
Not long, is it?
Cold night. It can be a very cold and long night when the TV are there.
Oh, they're horrible.
25, 30 minutes was how long it took the Swindon track staff to prepare the track for the second half of a double header. Like,
TV are going to have to pull their finger out at Birmingham because there's a 10 o'clock curfew there.
10 o'clock curfew at most tracks, though.
Yeah.
There's a
Well,
10 o'clock.
according to certain people on Facebook, there's no curfews if you go to the council, but he's off his nut on something.
The curfew came in when Speedway returned to Perry Bar. That was part of the planning agreement with the council. Because there was a uni campus across the road at the time.
But yeah, they will have to pull their fingers out their arse if they're going to get these second half meetings in.
Exactly.
I mean, you'd like to think there were, I think the way we are going in the right direction is double headers seem to have become a thing of the past, which is good. You know, because you spoke about the double header at Swindon and stuff like that. But that seems to have become a little bit more of a thing of the past, but then it needs to. Because how many times have we been to a meeting where the kids are supposed to go out and race after the meeting in an MDL meeting, and they're not able to because the first meetings ran over too much?
Well, yeah. Although when I was thinking double headers at Swindon, I was thinking Premiership followed by Premiership. When Swindon hosted Reading in 2019 for MSDL double headers, they more or less all fitted in fairly well. So it's just that, and you notice this I noticed it back when it was BT broadcasting. You go to a meeting where they're not there versus when they are there, the pace of the meeting is completely different.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a minute between the riders entering the pits for the previous heat before the 2 minutes comes on. When it's TV, it's comfortably 2 minutes or longer. Like, you notice a massive difference. It is something that needs to be addressed, because we shouldn't have 15 heat meetings finishing at 9:45 without incident.
I think that's that's where I will defend BSN as well, because they all adapt to what the meeting structure usually is, rather than the meeting structure having to adapt to them. There's a marked difference between a Eurosport meeting and a BSN meeting, because it is solely focused on Speedway. They know what they're doing. Eurosport, they need the ad revenue for to go towards it, otherwise it's pointless on their side. I have enjoyed Eurosport's coverage for the most part, but I think.
I really wish they would give up with helmet cameras, but whatever.
Drones, they're the way forward.
No, they are not. You see basically 3 things reliably: the sky, the track, and the handlebars.
And maybe the air fence if the rider takes a trip.
Yeah.
I think, let's hope that they don't go the Formula One route and stick an helmet camera on every rider and press the red button and you can access anybody's.
I mean, I can see them doing that as like Discovery Plus exclusive, but I wouldn't want that in the live feed.
They have got
Right.
that as the Discovery Plus thing.
I do like the GP version where they stick a camera in each rider's pit bay. A camera in the pit bay could be something worth looking at for anyone to watch that wants to watch that sort of stuff.
It
Nah,
would
too
have
expensive.
It would have been good if they had an angry Nicky Pedersen.
Smashing the phone.
That's all that's missing. That's all that's missing. We need a perfect shot of Nicky Pedersen kicking his chair again.
Yes.
That's what we need.
I think we're all sort of along the same lines with our predictions. It's just now what happens, what teams will perform, what won't, what riders will perform, what won't.
Yeah.
The uncertainty is the predictions of who the final riders will be for the teams that need them.
Yeah. As well as the sort of changes in the rule books causing problems for everyone.
I think this season's been one of the quieter seasons for changes to the rule book.
They've made a few technical changes in the British League, but other than that, it's not too bad. I've certainly seen a lot worse and scratched my head and thinking, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
But
at least we haven't had the yellow and green helmet colours change around again this year, or yellow and black, or fucking any of that.
I still want yellow and black back, but I prefer yellow and black.
Just bring the green helmet colour back and all the British Speedway's problems will be solved.
That's what everyone says.
The other thing as well, though, is how good of a job is Phil Morris doing for the Premiership? I think there's a marked improvement, and the fact that we've got riders like we have come back this year, I think that's a testament to how much he's doing.
Yeah, I think his only outward role, looking at it, is basically he is race director on televised meetings. But behind the scenes, I think he's doing quite a lot.
Yeah, he is doing He was at Perry Bar last week with a Eurosport representative, seeing where they can plug cameras in and stuff like that. So he had to do Oxford the same day as well. So he's travelling around every Premiership track to see where cameras can be plugged in and stuff like that. So it is quite a thankless job because you'll still get people who will ultimately say, "Oh, British Speedway is dying."
I'm not going to touch that comment.
You've already been smacked down once this week.
Has anybody got any predictions for the National League?
Scunny and Sheffield are going to win it, and that's the end of it, because Jason Edwards told me.
Can we at least decide whether they're Scunthorpe or Sheffield first?
Basically, it's weird. We're going under two names because British Speedway. Scunny's put all the work into doing all the team and getting the riders signed, and we're only having 2 of the 5 meetings. Go us.
Is it going to be half and half racetrack? It's the front Scunny, the back Sheffield.
Couldn't tell you.
Fucking...
Simon Lambert's keen for him to have suits, but for National League, it's not really worth it, if you ask me.
Not for 5 meetings, no. They still cost the same as the main team suits, don't they? But you ain't going to get as much use out of them or anything like that.
So, but no, I think if no, it'll be an interesting one now.
My burning question is: will the National League meetings be covered on Scorpions TV? Make you earn your money.
I think one of the ones we've got is meant to be a double header with Edinburgh, and the Scorpions meeting's on BSN anyway. So that one probably won't. But I'd imagine our one against Oxford in September, that'll be a Scorpions TV one. As far as I know, we haven't been asked to go to Sheffield to cover them yet, but there is every chance that we could get asked. And
Simon Lambert's part of the management team for the National League team as well, isn't he?
He is his team manager, and I hope he turns up in a suit looking fit, and yeah.
Who do we reckon then will be the riders that are signed for the respective clubs that need them?
Somebody give Jack Smith a chance, for fuck's sake. He might stop moaning on the internet then.
Don't tell Lawrence that other one. Yeah, Jack Smith keeps asking everyone, doesn't he?
And then he doesn't show up.
This one's difficult, you know.
I could genuinely see Jack Smith going to Workington.
I'm of the opinion that trying to predict the National League is a waste of time. There's just so many new and upcoming riders that you don't know how they're going to perform, and with limitations on rider facilities as well, there's so much unknown that
I think the National League should just fly under the radar a little bit and just be a breeding ground where, you know, riders can have no pressure, not massive eyes on them, and they can just do their thing, improve and catch promoters' attentions.
Well, that's how it always used to be.
Mm.
Lowest division in British League, professional league, was always, you don't worry about it unless your club rides in it.
Mm.
I think a lot's being made about this whole youth setup for the Premiership, and this is probably why Sheffield and Scunthorpe have paired up in the way they have.
Mm.
But
it worked last time we did it.
How many years ago was that?
Too many. 13 years ago.
Not a lot's changed in 13 years, has it?
No.
The biggest problem with Speedway, and we've been saying this for fucking years now, is it needs to be advertised right. Like, get yourself on like big advertising screens in your town or city. That'll attract the younger generation.
Get Dan Palmer standing there in a clown costume. That'll bring in the punters.
That's first episode of Scorpius TV, but plan out there now.
You're never going to be trusted in a position of power.
No.
Probably best that I haven't got one.
It is. It certainly is. I know Birmingham tried that idea last year of getting the adverts on the bus, but who really looks at bus banners?
I didn't see a single one. And I work in Birmingham, and I didn't see a single one.
Was that a representation of how hard you looked, though?
No, you cheeky shit.
Walking around with her eyes closed, I can't see a poster anywhere.
Does anybody really take any notice of adverts on a bus unless you haven't got your phone with you?
I think the one time I took notice of an advert on a bus was when it was upside down.
That's what you need to do.
I would not put that past National Express West Midlands.
I think it's promotion. I think for promotion of Speedway, you have to look at the pioneers for promoting Speedway, in my opinion, at the moment, are Oxford. The stuff they're doing, you've got Jordan Jenkins going to schools, rocked up at a fan's house the other day with a ticket for the meeting, and it's like, that is how you push Speedway. I know, like, the supporter is already a supporter, but at a school, if you can take a bike in and appeal to the kids and, get them interested, that's the next generation of supporters, because you look at most tracks and it's the older generation.
Yeah, and it's like what I was saying earlier about streaming going forward. It's, you need the younger people in if you want to do that. Not necessarily because they're any more technically minded, but because they'll understand it better.
And I think more clubs need to offer stuff for the kids. We come back again to Birmingham, but they offer a lot for the kids. You've got the centre green interval and the entertainment stuff. And if every club did that, if you're advertising to get kids in, give them the night they're going to enjoy and want to come back to.
And the Cubs Club.
And that.
Birmingham are welcome for that, because that was my idea.
I'll steer well clear of anything that's too technical.
I'm just saying, I've got a few opinions on which way they've taken that, and I'm not going to say them out loud because I'm going to become very unpopular very quickly.
Who wants to be popular anyway? Just receive a death threat to the page. You don't say something I like, you can die. I can't believe that's the risk you run with doing a live episode last week as well. Is just that you've got pure opinions and everything.
It's entirely unfiltered.
Yeah, people aren't always going to like what you say.
Well, they don't have to.
It's difficult on YouTube, I think, as well, because you have to post your link out. It's more accessible, but it's also difficult to keep people engaged, especially if adverts come on.
Yeah.
I do think we're in a better position for British Speedway now than perhaps 2 or 3 years ago. And that's coming off the back of two clubs with massive history, leaving the sport as well. I think British Speedway is on the up. You've got big names coming back and wanting to come back as well. I think there's a little bit of an uncertainty around next season when the Polish second division moves to, or first division, whatever it is, moves to a Thursday race night. I think people are all doom and gloom, but I just think British Speedway will adapt and move to a Wednesday again.
The problem with that is stadium availability. A lot's always made about it, and teams want to keep their race nights because it's steeped in tradition and regularity. You think when the Premiership was Monday and Wednesdays, there was dispensation for Swindon to continue on Thursdays because of stadium availability issues. When it switched to Monday and Thursday, that was ultimately what saw Poole move down to the Championship.
And Swindon disappear.
Yeah.
I think Poole had come back up if it went to Wednesdays. I think that's just the way to go. Everyone, it's like you stick to the race night that suits you best. It's like Plymouth racing on Tuesdays was a nightmare, so now they've gone back to Saturdays. And you can make a night of that. If you run at, say, 3 o'clock when there's a Grand Prix on, run your meeting, open the bar up and whack the Grand Prix on the TVs.
It's good revenue on the bar.
Yeah. I do think we're in a better position though. I think the uncertainty around certain clubs beyond this season is a worry, but I think that's more to do with the uncertainty around land. Clubs that own their own land, they've got no issues at all in what happens. And clubs have shown that even if you do end up folding, you can come back. Just a field with a track in the middle of it. You don't need top class facilities. Field, track, and a few Portaloos. Jobs are good.
Do a Buxton.
Yeah.
The worst track I've ever been to.
Never had the displeasure.
Don't bother.
No.
I remember the first time I went to Plymouth, right? Their grandstand was broken pallets, and my foot just went right through all of them.
That's not safe.
That was like many, many years. That's nearly 20 years ago, that now.
That explains why there's a few fries short of an Happy Meal now.
Health and safety might have decreased since then.
I hope it's not decreased since then. I'd hope it'd have increased.
Yeah, but they're a bit weird down south, though, aren't they? Especially down Plymouth way.
The perception of health and safety has increased, but nothing's any safer than it was before.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Such a shame this wasn't live, because Palmer would have got you more hate than Frankie ever could have.
That's all right. We can fix that. YouTube premiere.
Nicky Pedersen of YouTube podcasting.
Oh God, can we get him on as a guest one day? That would be fucking mental.
Cheers for joining us, both of you. That's literally it for episode 1. We're coming back and we're better than ever, I guess. I don't know, but see you next time.
You have been listening to episode 1 of Drop the Clutch Season 2, presented by Ruth Hannah and Frankie Sparks, featuring guests Dan Palmer and Dylan Hodgetts, recorded on the 8th of March 2024 and edited by Frankie Sparks. This was a Drop the Clutch production.